Hold on a second. That'll be less than 5 minutes. Matt will be 7.
Gotcha. Thanks.
All right, folks, thanks for being here. We'll open up today's press conference. Dave Biddle, and again, one question each, please. Dave Biddle, 24/7 Sports.
Hi, Ryan. The intensity is always, through the roof in a game like this, especially this game. It might be even more intense this year. Talk to your guys about keeping their composure, kind of not being that second guy that gets caught doing something.
Yeah, I think that's important. You have to play with emotion. You can't let emotion play with you. I think that's important. You have to have your emotions in check, which isn't easy in a game like this because, as we all know, how the magnitude of it all. But it's something that we identified in the off season. So then we'll talk about this week.
Bill Landis, podcast.
Ryan, the way your run game has evolved this year just looks much better now over the last month than it did earlier. What was the process like of kind of landing on the things that work best for you, and just generally, how do you feel about where you're at right now?
Yeah, gonna keep getting tested, but I feel like we've made some progress in different areas. I think certainly Trey coming back has made a big impact on that, but everybody is involved with it, and it's balanced. But I think, identifying each week what's worked for us and what hasn't, and fixing those things just over time, getting better. I think the infusion of Trey has certainly helped.
Ryan, given some of the backstory with J.J. McCarthy and Kyle McCord and the recruitment that went on there, how do you keep Kyle from trying to prove you right in this game?
Well, I think there's a lot going on here, and I think what we've done all season is in preparation for this game, the way that we've prepared, the way we've evaluated each game, the way we've talked about each game, our focus in the offseason, our focus in the preseason, and our focus during the season. So, like I told the guys on Sunday, we've been preparing for this moment all year. And so now we just need to continue on the routines that we've been on and, be the best team we've been all season, but at the same time focusing on those things. And it'll be the same for Kyle.
Ryan, when do you think you really grasp the magnitude of this game? I know you can hear about it from the outside and maybe even the first couple of times you experience it, it's a big game. But when did you really understand what this game means to Ohio State?
I think every year you just learn more and more. I guess this will be my 6th time in the game. So, you learn quickly when you're here, but each year, you learn more, and it has more of a significant impact on you as a person. And I think all of our guys, when they come here, whether it's a coach or a player, they're here for one reason, to win that game. And so, and I guess, every year that you're here, you learn about that more and more. But, my youngest daughter doesn't know any other place other than Ohio. So, this world means the world to me and my family.
One McCarthy, McCord thing, but when you guys are recruiting quarterbacks, you're looking at multiple people when you're evaluating that. When you're trying to decide who's in the hierarchy on the board and whatnot, are there certain things that you're looking for that maybe separate one guy from another guy?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not just one thing, but there's a lot that you look at. Leadership, competitiveness, toughness. There's just so many things that you do. And the difficult thing now is starting recruiting at younger ages, and certain guys are being evaluated as freshmen and sophomores, and then you continue to evaluate. Then you have guys like Lincoln, who we evaluated his senior year. So, and then you try to compare the best you can. But there's not one thing other than competitiveness is one that for sure is high on the list.
I just want to follow up on Kyle and JJ. What do you remember about recruiting JJ, and what was it about Kyle that ultimately led you to him?
There's all kinds of things that lead into recruiting, and JJ was always great. He was very respectful. He was a very competitive player, and got a lot of respect for him as a player and as a person. And during the recruiting cycle, you spend time with different people and different folks, and you learn about people. And again, all my interactions with he and his family were very classy.
Kind of go back to that
concept of the intensity, and I know you've done a good job of avoiding all the other questions we've had about the way that this year's game has been changed. But how is that not personal for you and for the staff this year? And how, I guess, you personally try to put those feelings aside, whatever might be going on there, and focus on the task?
Yeah, because I think not that it's easy, but the only thing that matters is this game, is this team is preparing. The rest of it doesn't matter. So that's what we have to do. We have got to stay disciplined enough to focus on that. And it goes back to the conversation about emotion, letting, emotion of the game and everything get in the way. We can't do that. And every year you learn more and more about this game and the preparation for it. So we're not going to let any of that stuff get in our way in terms of distractions. We're just going to focus on this team, this season, and preparing the best we possibly can.
Ryan, this is an outside observation, so I don't know if you'll agree with it or not, but going into the game last year, you just seemed pretty uptight to me, and that was very different when you went into the Peach Bowl. I don't know if you noticed a difference, if that's something you can control consciously, if that's just the pressure of the game. I don't know, but if the team takes the cue from you, is that something that's on your mind? And did you notice a difference for those two games a year ago?
I think every year you evaluate what's gone on and you try to do the best you can to make sure that you fix the things that don't go well and you enhance the things that do go well. I think there was a lot of things that went on, in the game looking back on it. And so you learn from it and you move on.
Ryan, the fact that Kyle has played in a top 10 game at the time at Notre Dame and gone through the experience of a tight competitive game against Big Ten, what experience did you learn about him from that moment, and how can that help him?
Yeah, anytime you have experience in a game like this, it makes a big difference, and it's something to go back upon, which is good. Very smart player who, understands situations, and when you've been in those type of situations before, you have something to grab onto and refer to, and you have a reference point. And I think that all helps in preparation.
Your takeaways from that, seeing him go through that?
Yeah, just watching him play and doing it, and learning about the things that he excelled at.
Seems like this rivalry was built on respect, even in the 10-year war. At the heart of it, Woody and Bo respected each other because of what's happened. This investigation. It doesn't seem like that now. Does that sadden you, or does it energize you?
I think I was taught that the way you respect a rivalry is to work it every day, and whether it's in the weight room, whether it's game planning, talking to your players, periods in practice in the during the spring, periods in practice in the preseason, and that's it. And so we respect the rivalry, and certainly excited to play here on Saturday.
You've referred to your team as road warriors this year. Is there something special about this team going on the road more times than any team? I don't have to take a long time and getting it done, and to have this one be on the road, is there something a little bit special about that? I think you guys love playing the shoe, but it seems like the road has been kind of friendly.
Well, yeah, and we have the schedule right over there, and I point to all those white blocks right there. The teams we knew we had to go on the road this season more than we had in the past, and certainly knew we had to go on the road for this one. So, like I said before, it's all in preparation for the last game of the year, and so it's been great to get tested, to get battle tested. So again, you talk about reference point. Our team does have a reference point. It'll be loud. It'll be hostile, great environment, but we've been in those before, and so again, a reference point going into the game is important.
How important is it to have success in the running game in this game, considering the way that this rivalry has played out over the last 2 decades?
It's extremely important. Yeah. I mean, it's there's a lot of things that are important, but that's extremely high on the list.
Michigan, obviously, really good defense, especially in the red zone. What's it take to execute at an extremely high level against defense like that in the red zone?
Well, first off, they haven't had very many snaps down there, so there's not a ton to go off of. But you gotta, every yard is worth 2 or 3 down there, and you got to do a great job execution. The field gets smaller. we call it the 12th defenders at end line, and so you just got to operate in a smaller area, and so you got to be efficient. But that'll be another situation that'll be huge in the game. Those 4-point plays where you're kicking field goals and scoring touchdowns on both sides of the ball.
Similar to Clay's question, this rivalry's been heated for over 100 years. It's very intense, but there's always been respect among players or between players, it seems like. Does that hold true for coaches? Do you respect Jim Harbaugh and his staff, or what's the feel there?
Yeah, I think, with everything going on and the things, that are out there, we just kind of stayed away from all the distractions we have, and just focused on our team. And I think our guys have done a good job of it. I think, when you talk to our guys, I have talked to them a couple of times about, what's gone on this season and going into the game. But, they're focused on this game. They're focused on the season. They're focused on their preparation. And we're just going to continue on that.
Coach, you give them a game plan, you work all week. On game day, how important is it, though, for them to go out there, play loose, play fast? What's the mission?
Yeah, that's it. It's our job to give them a good plan, let them go play, and then they can go out there and compete at the highest level, and that's what you want as a coach. So we got to have a good scheme. We got to do a great job with that, but at the same time, we got to allow them to go play. And that's what it comes down to in big games. And it's going to be 4 quarters. It's going to be a battle. And the good news is, again, this is something we've been preparing for all year.
Your emotion on the sideline, and we've seen it every now and then. We saw it at Georgia. We saw it after the Notre Dame game. How do you pick and choose those spots? And how much do you think your emotional state kind of impacts the team getting them hyped up?
Yeah, I think you have to know your team. You have to know what's going on each week. Sometimes it just pours out. Other times, you feel like you got to give your guys a little something. You also want consistency. But the guys in the locker room know how competitive we all are and how competitive I am. But like you said, you have to keep your emotions in check, and that's going to be starting from the head down. It's got to start from me. We have to go in there and execute at a high level and handle the environment.
Going back to kind of what Dave was saying about the intensity of the game, that tunnel has turned into kind of a gladiator pit before. Have you had any talks about what you might do, how to handle that pregame to avoid something happening?
Yeah, we've had conversations already. They've been, folks have been talking about it here for a couple of weeks and put some good plans together. Again, to make sure that we can focus on what matters, and that's getting on the field and playing football.
You referenced the fact that you prepare for this game all the time. It's constantly part of your program. So how much do you reflect on your preparations for this game the week leading up to it in years past? Do things change? What's the vibe right now as you get ready for this game compared to where it was this week a year ago?
Yeah, I think you look at that in the offseason for sure. You just dive in. You try to identify, okay, let's talk about everything. Let's talk about the scheme. Let's talk about the preparation. Let's talk about, leading up to the game. Let's talk about all of those things. And then you try to identify, so what exactly happened in the game. And then you learn from there. You grow from there. And you make adjustments from there. And then that's kind of how you shape your season. That's how you shape your off season. And then you learn about your team. You learn about, there's a lot of information that comes in during the season, and you grow from there and you build from there, all in preparation for this one. So, yeah, you certainly look at all those things. But at this point, a lot of those decisions have been made.
Ryan, with so much changing next year, this game might not have as much on the line. I guess, what do you relish about an opportunity like this, and what will you miss about something like this?
Yeah, I don't know if that'll be the case. I'm sure there'll always be just as much on the line when these two teams play. And certainly it'll be different, but I don't think it'll change anything just on the format. It's always going to be this way. And the format certainly will change next year, but I don't think the rivalry will ever be anything less than it is right now.
This feels like the ultimate test for the offensive line in terms of the progression they've made over the course of the season. Just where's your confidence level at with that group right now, and what are you seeing from them in preparation?
Yeah, you're seeing improvement every week. You're seeing a group that works together. You're seeing progressions, individually and as a unit. And so, they're going to do a great job today of getting out there on a Tuesday practice and working at their craft and preparing to go play at a high level and then go compete for 4 quarters. But like you said, week in and week out, we come in, we talk about the progress in different areas. I think you've seen it in that area. So, I think their confidence is as high as it's been all season.
Coach, defense, how excited, your emotions, expectations after the last 2 seasons against Michigan are you to see that defense be on Saturday?
Yeah, no, it's again, same thing. Just adjustments need to be made. Not just this year, the year before as well. And so, here we are, got to go put it on the field. But again, I think you're going to see a confident group going out there.
Right, I know you mentioned the reference points that Kyle has, but what about his development from the start of this whole thing, the quarterback competition to now? Gives you confidence that he's the guy.
Yeah, no, you see him executing plays, you see it in practice, and then it carries over to the field, and that's what you want. Now, ultimately, we got to take care of the football, win the game. That's the bottom line here. And the good news is he's got a great group around him, and he's been in these environments before. So a lot of things in his favor going into the game. But now he's got to go put it on the field.
You guys have only been in a couple of really tight games. Michigan's been in one, really. How much of this game is a mystery to you? And that through 11 games, you have a pretty good feel of who you are, who they are. It's probably a little different. How much unknown is there in your mind?
I feel like we've been tested at different times this year. With the growth of the quarterback, we've been in games at halftime where we were winning. We've been, in games where it's been close. We've been in games where we've been losing. So we've had to win games in the fourth quarter. We've had games where we've pulled away from teams. So I think we've learned a lot about this team. I think they're again a more mature and veteran team than in the past. Many of these guys have played in this game before. So I feel like I have a good feel for who we are and who our identity is.
You've always talked about needing to play your best football in November. Obviously, that applies even more to this game. And you've been talking about you have to learn from the past, right? But to get your guys to play their best game, like mentally and emotionally, right? That's what you can control. You play your best game. What do you have to do as a coach and a staff to really do that? How much do coaches and coaching staffs influence that, or is it kind of up to the guys to do that? And how do you think in your time here, have you guys played your best games against Michigan on this final Saturday in November, or do you feel like maybe you haven't at times?
I think you look at the routine. I think that's something you grab onto in big weeks, and that's why you set routines. That's why we talk to our team about routines, and that's in big games. That's what you grab onto to make sure you stay on that routine. And it's a productive process to make sure you're covering everything you need to cover in terms of preparation. And again, we've had great opportunities to take a look and see how things have gone down, why they've gone down, and regroup every season and try to identify the things that we got to improve at. So, this has been a great group to build with. They're a great group to coach, and we're going to have another great week of practice right now, and I can't wait to see these guys play on Saturday.
Ryan, for all the success you guys have had here since you've been here in 2017 and starting on the offensive coordinator and taking over in 2019, there's only a handful of guys that were on that 2019 team that beat this team. The tenor of the entire rivalry has changed in the last couple of years. You get the COVID year, which maybe threw a giant wrench into things. How different is this week feel for you now than it did when you started here? And do you think that it was a change that has been necessary for the guys in the building?
I don't know. I think it's a good question, but we take every year as it is and go from there. But there's guys with scars, and I'm one of them, and so it just drives you every day to work harder and to make sure you do everything you possibly can to win the game.
Questions or questions? Ryan, obviously everybody knows 2 versus 3 undefeated collision, the ramifications of a of this game are enormous, the result, but how much?
Keep going, Tim.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to stay simple. But how much freedom comes with knowing you're going into a game where really all that matters is the W, the win? Does it? You've been in some of the many
Sure.
of these. What does it kind of change about you?
Well, no, yeah, we say in those matchup games it could come down to one play, and we have to play those games that way. We've been in a couple of those this season. We talk about those. Not that any game is any different, but it could come down to one play, and you got to be on your game, and you got to win the situation.
Thanks, man.
I don't right now. Yeah, no.
Okay, thanks, guys. Thank you, Ryan. Mike, walk you guys through Coach Knowles. All right, guys, same deal. We'll keep it to one question, about 15 minutes. I don't know if we'll be able to get to everybody, but we'll do the best we can. We'll start with Austin here in the front.
You've talked and we've asked a lot about the adjustments that you made and the changes you tried to make when you looked at it last season. Is it difficult as you go into this game, you think, well, very part of you that's like, maybe I made good calls, and some other factors were at play that kept those from working?
No, we have to be focused on what's happening right now, you know, with things that are in our control and, you know, lack of ego and being selfless. I mean, a lot of that applies to whatever happened, happened. You know what I mean? It's not going to help us. What's going to help us, um, you know, my freshman history teacher, Father Vincent Taggart, SJ. But he remember he started first times as a freshman, like, you know, those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it. You know, but then like then he also used to say, he said, well, you know, you got to live in the present moment. You know, highest form of sanity is living in the present moment. So I think what I finally, I don't know if you ever figure it out in life, but that like those things that happened in the past, yeah, you have coaches, you have mentors, and yeah, like I need to figure all that out and process that and determine what's important to then pass on to the team because they don't need to be worried about any of that. They got to play hard, they got to play tough, they got to play fast. So they don't really need to worry about that. I mean, I can think about that, ruminate on that, and you know, go through all the things in the off season. But ultimately, we're better right now because of it. So we got to stick with that.
Front row, Bill Rabinowitz.
We've talked before about all the philosophical changes you made, largely in preparation for this game. How excited, anxious, eager are you to see it really put to the test? It really hasn't been too much this year against the competition you played.
Yeah, I mean, main reason our players or coaches or our people who run the cafeteria because you want to be the best and you want to compete against the best and you want to challenge yourself, you know, to see how you stack up. So yeah, I mean, you know, you do things, they take a long time. There's a lot of work that goes into it. Ultimately, it's all to give the players the best chance to win right now at the Ohio State in this game. You know, it all kind of points right to there. And you just have to perform. You got to be tough. You got to be physical. You got to be fast. You can't be thinking too much. You know, I mean, that's where all the fundamentals and all the development of the scheme really comes into play.
Second row.
What is the challenge, I guess, for lack of a better word, of defending the run when a team is going to throw like an 8 or 9 man surface at you and you got to cover all that ground without kind of getting too thinned out and then not behind the
Yeah, it's a big challenge. It's unusual. You know, everybody has to understand the scheme, and the gap fits, and there's an exactness that comes with it that I think a lot of people don't understand. That I think you men do because you know, I'm not just blowing you on, but men and women do a great job here of really technically knowing the game. But you're right. I mean, there's a lot of all of a sudden there's a lot of different gaps, and their running backs are talented, and their offensive line is talented, and so there really is an exactness and a preciseness that our players need to understand, and that's my job. My job is to get them to understand by Saturday, be able to do it fast.
Your players have talked a lot about confidence and how much that's made a difference in how they've played this year. I guess where's that confidence level now compared to what it was last year? I guess how does that like personify a person on the field, like confidence? What does that mean for a guy to be able to have confidence that translates to success?
Yeah, I can't really comment on last year, but I can tell you what I see. I see right now, and I think to me, confidence is playing fast, and that competitive excellence, which is like win the moment, like be at the right place at the right time, playing fast with a bad attitude. You know, you put when you watch it, you know, you can see it, and I think everybody can, and what we've really honed on as a defense is let's be a defense that everybody can watch, and even if they don't know the exactness or the preciseness of the game, they can see people playing fast, showing up in the right places, and that gives everybody confidence. So our confidence then I think spills over to the team and the fan base and whoever you feel like you're going to be okay no matter what happens.
Jim, Bill's question. What is your biggest concern facing this Michigan offense?
Well, it's hard to pinpoint, because the running game is multiple because of all the different formations. They do a great job of hiding their formations and their intent. And the offensive line is as good as we faced, and the backs are really good. So I think when you look at the history of this game, it starts there. You have to do that. So then I think the balance becomes, okay, how do you prevent the explosive plays on the back end, committing to this and leaving yourself exposed here?
For the game, your defensive tackle has been playing really well. If Mike is able to play, what would that do for you guys?
Mike's a great player, plays with great energy, great enthusiasm. I think he lifts everybody up around him. And yes, I've been saying it all year. So he helps. Not just using up blocks, because I'm saying all year our defensive tackles have actually been making tackles. And when you have defensive tackles, big tackles, it helps them.
Obviously, last year there was a problem with big plays through the air, breakdowns in the secondary. How much more prepared do you feel like this secondary is to handle situations where we want to come down to them as a play?
I think it started last spring. Like I said, we're competing against our offense. The best receiver in the country, and our guys forget about the scheme. That's not their issue. That's my issue. But they played with a more competitive nature, all spring, all camp. And you can't just turn it on for this game. It's just something like you said. You see them competing for more ball and playing close to receivers, challenging routes. Yeah, that makes me confident, but that really makes the rest of the team confident. That's what's important.
This seems like the type of game with the way Michigan runs its offense, where the decision to put Sonny at the nickel at the beginning of the year might have like some major payoff here, but that's also well before like the ransom got hurt. If assuming Lathan can't play on Saturday, how does this opponent maybe make you have to think about how you're going to use Sonny for like?
Absolutely. I mean, you have to. Yeah, we would love to have Lathan. That certainly allows us to do different things with Sonny. Without that, we still have to do different things with Sonny, but you can be less focused. Yeah, Sonny has got to be spread around in different locations. Because we think he can make a lot of plays.
Jim, at what point did you really feel like you started to grasp this rivalry? I know you hear about it all year leading up to last year. Was it after the game? I mean, when did it really click for you what this meant?
Yeah, I think when you live through it and you feel the disappointment and you take that personally, not personally like you get angry, but personally like you don't want to let anybody down. You don't want to let the fans down. Most importantly, you don't want to let our players down. So you see how they feel, and you just want to do better.
Far left.
What stands out about Michigan's commitment to running the game, running the ball, and 32 straight carries against Penn State? What you see there?
I mean, that just shows me they have great confidence in their running game. They have great confidence in their defense, right? I mean, a team that's willing to do that is willing to play the long game, the 4-quarter game, and trust their defense and their offensive line and running backs. And that shows me that we better be ready to slug it out for 4+ quarters or whatever it takes.
Week against Minnesota in the July 12 personnel looks, you were putting Jihad at strong safety bandit and bringing Sonny back up. I guess that makes sense on paper when you look at this maybe relative size. It also means taking Jordan off the field, who's been playing so well. I guess what do you feel like is the positive trade-off there?
Yeah, I mean, how much Jordan has been playing well, and that's and Jordan has shown the ability to, make that decision in the running game and go attack. But it's just a question: how much do you really want him to do that? Jordan is a skilled athlete. Not that our other guys aren't, but I mean, he's not that big of a guy. So he's more than willing and capable. But you just have to balance. How much do you want to do that? Just like I've said, just like how do you balance a quarterback, right? Is he a runner or he's a thrower? And then, you don't want to run him too much because he gets get beat up, and then he's got to be a thrower. To me, that's the same thing you have with a nickel who's coming from corner. You know what I mean? More of a nickel corner rather than a nickel Sam, which Sonny is. So you have to balance it.
X factor, JJ McCaffrey's legs. I think he's a 4.4 40 guy. What can you do about that? I mean, do you expect to see him run a little more? I mean, he hasn't run a lot, but in this game, maybe that's a wrinkle.
Yeah, I expect him. He's a really good runner. He ran some against us last year, and he runs from time to time when they need it. He's a competitor, so you just have to always be you have to always be ready for it, and you have to understand the types of runs that he likes, the types of scrambles he likes, and he's a really good player. So you better be aware of his ability to throw as well as run.
Right behind Cameron T. Robbins.
Jim, you guys have only given up one play over 40 yards to play against Buckeyes. That was obviously a topic of conversation all season. At what point this year did you feel like, okay, we kind of have this down? It seemed like obviously you go week to week, you don't know until you kind of do it over and over again.
Yeah, I never feel like we have it down ever. It's a constant pursuit to defend explosive plays, and look at the one that got us. What was that? That fake sneak thing? Man, hats off to them. What a great play, But you just don't. You never know where they're going to come from. So you better be on high alert. It better be something that's a priority. It has shown to be a real factor in this game. When you study statistics, it's been a real factor. So we can never stop talking about it, defending it, practicing it.
Jim, back in the spring, some of your DBs talking about giving up explosive plays, talked about if they would give up one in practice, they would run. And I'm sure there's a lot goes into not giving up explosive plays from scheme and stuff, but just that mentality that they had to sort of push themselves to do better in that area from just simple active conditioning. Does that have any effect, you think, their mindset coming into this year in that area?
I think after physical training, right, from Coach Mick, that gives our guys a ticket to get into the dance. Coach Mick gets them there, and Coach Day with the way we train. But after that, it's mindset. It really is mindset. So you have to, if it's important to you and you've demonstrated that this has an effect on winning, this has an effect on your career, they see it. It's on their mind. So whether they run or do push-ups or whatever, there's something that's a reminder to them that, hey, this is really important. And this is a primary focus for our defense and for you as a player. That's just it. It is a mindset.
Okay, time for two more. Doug?
I'm going to ask another version of the question I've gotten 6 times because it's talked about so much. What has the journey been like for you as a coach when you have a game like the Michigan game last year where you give up some explosive passing plays? It becomes a priority for you that passes on to the players. You guys talk about it. You execute it. It's constant. And now here you are again with an opportunity, right? What is the 365-day journey? It feels like you and your defense are just very connected in this pursuit of we're going to focus on this and not let that happen again. What's that like as a coach?
It's a long, arduous, grinding process to get here, but it's extremely rewarding, and I think that's the job of a leader is to, have a vision, like you taught, to learn from your mistakes, not have an ego, which a lot of us coaches do. So, maybe, so not have an ego, what's best, what happened, how do I fix it? Have a vision of, okay, this, now you have to communicate that. Like you got to get people to buy in, like you taught. Then you're selling it for 365 days and you're growing it and you're watering it and you're feeding it and you're nurturing it and you're bringing and you're showing this is good, this is not good, this is good, not good, not good. Why? It's we have to go out and do this. How? Okay, here are the things that we're going to do. Here are the specifics of how we're going to do this. And you sell it to them and you motivate them and they see it. But it's a long process, but extremely rewarding. And we have to make it pay off for us this Saturday.
We'll wrap it up right here with Tim May.
You left that pruning there. Tommy Eichenberg, how much does he want to play in this game? You were asked about it last week. Of course, like Ryan, they said almost got into a fight about things. But what will he bring if, in fact, he's cleared and ready to play? What will he bring to this mix?
Everything. Tommy will bring every single ounce of his person to this game, and he will fight to defend our honor. That's just that kind of guy that he is. He's the kind of guy we all want on that wall.
All right, Coach.